just want to invite you to come into, the guided meditation, but also be clear that you don't have to. You can just sit and enjoy the group meditation space and do your own sit if you have something you like doing better. The only rules are that it's silent and still. It's not like you're going to get up and dance or whatever in your meditation. Okay, so as long as you can be quiet and still, do whatever you want in the privacy of your own mind. And then there's a third option, which a lot of people actually use, which is you kind of follow the guided sit until I go someplace that you don't want to go, right? Or that you can't go, or that you're liking what's happening already. So just stay there. So you stay on the bus like halfway and then get off and do your thing there. Okay, so is that enough freedom for you? Good. So let's start from there, and we're going to just do a little bit, very tiny bit of light stretching together, pre-meditation stretching. You make this work for your body. You don't have to follow what I'm doing. Of course, you know your body best. But the very first thing we'll do is do a nice big breath like this. And really open up that rib cage. Let it out. Let's do 2 more of those. And really hold it wide open. Start getting that prana in there. Okay, then same thing but to the side. Get these side ribs really open. Just one of those, and then this way. Oh, that feels so good. Okay. And then we'll do like way back. And then of course, way forward. This is a nice one to kind of, you can breathe here, you don't have to hold your breath, but move back and forth a little bit to get the back of your hips open, back of your pelvis open a little bit. Okay. And then just sit and breathe for a moment, nice and deep, breathe from your belly, whatever way feels good. Meditation is not a thing you do with your mind. It's mainly a thing you're doing with awareness, but also it's very embodied. So getting your body involved really helps right from the start. Then, again, making sure that you're comfortable. You can do a twist. If you want to, you can grab here and kind of do the twist. And then the other way. Making sure you breathe out on the twist. And then readjust, make sure your back is happy. And then let's just randomly shake like weird jellyfish or something. Right. Get it all out. That feels good. Opens up the energy a little bit. Okay, then you guys know that I like alternate nostril breathing, so if you know how to do that, go for it. If you don't, remember the instructions are put your hand like this, and your arm is up, using your thumb, close your right nostril, breathe in the left nostril. Then you're going to breathe out the other one. Close this side and breathe out the right. Then breathe in the right. Close it. Breathe out the left. Now you want to sit up straight. Don't be hunching over. This is energy work, so you want your body to be nice and upright. And we're going to do this together for like 3 minutes, okay? So just settle in. And what I want you to do is, let's just use the seed syllable Hreem, H-R-E-E-M, and just focus at your third eye center as you're doing this. So you're not just kind of sitting there thinking about the new Kate Blanchett movie or something. You are breathing, alternating your nostril, and concentrating your energy at your third eye while intoning the seed syllable Hreem. Okay? So this is a nice concentration exercise, but it's mainly energy balancing. And it will tend to really, really slow down the speedy mind. So we started out on the left nostril in-breath, so for balance when you end on a left nostril out-breath. And then just breathe normally for a moment. Now we'll do just a little bit of seed syllable chanting, and we'll just stick with Hreem, H-R-E-E-M. Remember how we do this, we're going to just keep chanting it, Hreem, Hreem, and we're not going to do it all at once. You take a breath whenever you want. You can do it at any pitch you want, because I'm doing a pitch that's nice for my voice, but you use a pitch that's good for your voice. But keep noticing the energy at your third eye. So even though you're chanting, you're just relaxed, you're open, and you're letting that Hreem energy really energize your third eye. the entire machinery of your thinking mind, just set it aside. Just like you're putting down a power drill. You're just unplugging it and you're just going to set it on the table. And you're not going to use it right now. Unlike a power drill, it might sit there humming for a while. It might still be thinking or whatever, but we're just not going to notice. We're not going to engage with that at all. We're just going to let it be. And instead, where all the awareness is going is just into simple presence. Just into simple openness, right? When you're not in the machinery of thought, the mind is very open. And it's very, very simple, right? It's high res, but it's simple. So you're just letting yourself be very naturally, very simply open. And if you notice you've got kind of a twitch, like I just can't stop picking up my mind. It's just interesting. Just keep setting it back down. It's okay. You don't have to fight with it, but just in a very relaxed, super mellow way, set it back down and come back to the utter simplicity and naturalness of just open awareness. Now, if that's just a little too formless, it's okay to kind of use the breath as a home base. You're not focusing on the breath or trying to follow it or something. You're just letting it be kind of the anchor for this openness. Something that you can kind of lightly sit with while you're just being awake in this sky-like, relaxed, bright, clear, fresh openness outside of mind, completely outside of thinking. So I'm going to be quiet for a while. We're just going to sit and do that. And again, each time you pick up, if you pick back up the mind, just set it back down. It's like, sometimes if you put down your phone, you just nervously keep picking it back up. But eventually you're like, leave that thing on the table. And just feel that breath wave easily rising and falling of its own accord. Notice what it's like to sit without engaging the thought process. You're wide awake, you're fully present, and there's a real sense of openness and ease that you're not generating or somehow trying to make happen. It's just there because you're not picking up the thought machine. If you are continuously re-engaging with thought, then again, don't fight it, don't get in a war with it, but just what I would recommend is every time at the end of an out-breath, just let go again. Check. At the end of each out-breath, oh yep, I'm engaged again, just let go, like just So at least you're not continuously engaged. And it's very interesting. You can sit there unengaged with thought for a while, just how rich and lovely open experience is. Right? It's not special, it's not trippy or something, but it's just this normal moment, but experienced with tremendous presence. Very nice. So let's continue with this for a while. Good. Now continuing to just sit in simple presence. Notice if there's any tension in the core of your mind. Tension in the core of your mind is what keeps you grabbing onto thoughts, or grabbing onto ideas, or trying to figure stuff out, or trying to plan, or similar. It's like there's a fist in the core of your head, and it keeps grabbing onto stuff. And it is a kind of, even though of course there's no fist in the core of your head, it feels like muscle tension almost. And so if you can notice that, the thing to do is just relax that, open the fist of the mind, so to speak. Let that core tension right in the very center of your brain relax, just as if you were opening your hand, and you'll feel it try to grab on again and tighten down on something. So okay, again, we're not fighting it. That just adds more tension. Instead, we're kind of gently allowing it to open and to find enough trust and enough confidence and enough self-care to allow that to just stay relaxed. So it's a lot more like, it's a lot less like trying to stay focused or something. It's a lot more like helping a child get to sleep or something. And just very soothing, very sweet, allowing it to relax. Not pushy or demanding, just soothing and open. Just let that thing, each time it tightens up, just let it relax. And when it's relaxed like that, it can't hold on to any thoughts. They'll be there, they're moving through, but you're not fixating on them, and that's the point. So relax the core of your mind. Sit in simple presence. can be really helpful at the end of each out breath to just allow that core of the mind to just dissolve entirely. At the end of each out breath, just let it just vanish. So it becomes more and more relaxed, more and more open. But notice it's not taking you into some kind of dream or some kind of altered state. You're actually arriving in presence more and more completely. You're coming out of the virtual world of the mind into actual being. assuming you're staying pretty relaxed, just notice the natural openness that's available. The experience of the room and the body and so on is very open, unbounded, tremendously spacious and wide. It's not that you're making it spacious or trying to force it open or something. It's that when you're not continuously down inside the machinery of thought, the senses are wide open in all directions. Easy to feel your body, easy to hear the room around. If your eyes are open, kind of taking in the whole scene. It's kind of the opposite of that tight, crystallized sense of being kind of locked in that we get from being down inside our thoughts. This is like being up on top of a mountain on a clear day. It's just openness in all directions. Now, you may have been working with verbal thoughts, but there's also visual thoughts, one of which is something like, if you were to put it in words, it's an idea of I am inside my body, and you keep kind of flashing on the image of your body as sort of a container. But that's another one we're letting go of. We're not engaging with visual thinking like that either. And if we don't grab on to those body images, you start to notice that the sense of being awake and aware and present is not somehow located in the thermos bottle of your body. It's more like it's just an open field of awareness and a vibrating field of sensation that doesn't really have a boundary. It's just open. And the body can start to feel a lot more like a cloud of buzzy, tingly pixels more than some kind of potato. So it's open, it's spacious, it's roomy. just relaxing away from verbal thinking, we're relaxing away from visual thinking also, which can be a lot more unconscious. But to whatever extent you're aware that it's happening, just let that go. And that's when the body will just open up. Because your mind is busy putting the body in sort of a box all the time. If we just don't engage with that box image, the body just feels the way it feels on its own, which is like a spacious cloud of vibration. Over and over again, releasing the fist of thought, just letting any tension in the mind just relax. At least on the end of the out breath, just let it go. Do not follow a train of thought. Over and over again, let it go. Even the thought of the body. And there's another one you can let go of, which is any sense of time. Time is just a thought. It's an idea. And so if that idea comes up, just don't engage it. And notice if you don't engage the time thought, then you're in timelessness, which is not some trippy giant infinity loop or something. It's just presence outside of time. Time is like a cop in your head that keeps, checking on you all the time. But you can just let it go, not engage it, and then immediately we're in a kind of beautiful, simple presence, as if we are children again. Remember, this is not some kind of idea to imagine. This is the opposite of that. We're just letting go of imagining anything. Not struggling with that, because continuously just relaxing isn't a struggle. You might have to remember over and over to relax, but it's still calming and soothing to just So it's not a fight. Don't get in any kind of fight. Returning over and over again to simple, open presence, which takes no doing of any kind. It's what's there all the time when you're not doing. Very good. Now, let's experiment with letting go of an even deeper thought, a much more fundamental one. I am doing this. persistent one. I am doing this. It's not something to go find and fight with. Again, just notice if you have the feeling, I am doing this, that you just relax that and just come back to sitting in simple presence. Outside of time, outside of the mind, outside of the solidity of the body, spacious, open, relaxed, wide awake, bright, clear, fresh, simple. Spacious, open ease. Okay, very good. Now just for a moment, without using your thinking process at all, look for who is even present. Who is it that's present? Don't think about it. It's not that kind of an answer. It's a looking. Who is it that's present? Just find it. Notice you can't actually find anything but presence. There's not a who there, there's just presence. Just spacious, clear, open freshness. Good. Let's do 3 long ohms together, just to radiating the sound of this clear, open presence, nice and loud. Feel the energy of those ohms just radiating out in the boundless, timeless halls of awakeness. Bright and clear. Okay, very good. So the interesting thing here is that we're not trying to cultivate some kind of special awakeness, right? But it is something you can do with altered states and so on. But it's not necessary, because even those altered states are still just simply a reflection of what's always there. What's always there is this simple, wide awake, wide open, boundless clarity, simplicity, brightness, and it's actually kind and loving as well. It's always there. It's always there. And what happens is we just have learned to focus on something else. So we're spending a lot of time focusing on body sensations, or sort of like the idea of the body, I am my body, I'm in a body, and we're focusing on that. Or even that's probably a little too embodied and present for most people these days, and so we're more focusing on, my Twitter feed and a bunch of ideas and algorithms for getting, acing job interviews or something. You're just so into this virtual world in the mind that, which is fine. I mean, that's a powerful thing to use. It's a useful tool. But we're kind of glommed onto it in a neurotic, fixated way. And you may have noticed when I said, like, relax the fist of thought, or let the core of your mind relax, that it just kept doing that. Not for everyone, but for lots of people, it will just keep grabbing. That's what I mean. It's a habit of being focused on that. Like, that's what's really going on, is that. The sort of mental experience. Again, nothing wrong with mental experience, but isn't it odd that you're totally glommed onto it? And one of the difficulties of being just stuck on it like that is that you don't notice this other thing the main thing, which is this tremendous, clear, open, awake presence, within which this experience of the mind is just this tiny virtuality. So I'm sure all of us have had the experience of being like, you're somewhere like Yellowstone National Park, and you or one of your friends is like stuck on their phone, like reading some social media, or there's this great word in Hungarian, I'll pronounce it wrong because every word I can't pronounce in Hungarian, but it's something like egérmozi, which means mouse theater. It's mouse theater. You're like watching something on your phone. Egér is a mouse. And so you're stuck on your mouse theater, and here's this whole world happening, right? And it's like someone's just missing the entire experience because they're like, stuck in mouse theater. And that's just such an obvious version of this. But the non-obvious version is that the rest of us are doing the same damn thing, just in the mouse theater in your head. Right? Like just going on down, stuck into whatever loops are going. Again, all of which is fine. It's just funny because you don't have to do that. That's just a choice, and after a while it's almost more of a habit, and maybe after a while even more of like an addiction. But it's that little thing of like, I just prefer to watch the mouse theater in my head all day. That's the only thing at all. It's that simple, keeping you from experiencing like vast halls of freedom and love and presence, which are there immediately when you aren't focused on that. Immediately. It's there the whole time. It's just, you're just not paying attention to it. And so, one of my main teachers used to say, you've got this giant banquet being prepared for you every day, this gorgeous, sumptuous banquet, and you just forget to eat it every single day. Because you like don't notice that it's there. It's just like the food is just on the table. Dig in. And you're just like, I'm busy with mouse theater. You're just not engaging. And, that would be kind of sad on some level, but it's so much worse than that because the virtual world is just basically just awful. Right? And I don't mean the internet, but I mean you're inside the thoughts. It's pretty much a terrible place to be. Right? It's just tight and judgy and fixated on all kinds of pain and suffering. And yet we're choosing on purpose to connect with it continuously. Who knows why? Just because we aren't normally trained to not do that. And in fact, we are normally trained to do that. Right? So it's not just that it's like, hey, you're missing the banquet. It's like, and you're eating glass and barbed wire on purpose. And so you might want to not do that. Maybe. And it's funny because if I invite people to not do that, they will fight to do it. And me too, for a long time. But it's like there's this image that it's somewhere. I learned it somewhere in India. It's just a super intense image that is very compelling, and that is being stuck on that is like being a dog. This is a terrible image. I'm sorry. It's kind of a horrible image. a dog that's eating broken glass and thinks it's so delicious because it tastes like blood. It's just like, oh, that's what that continuous engagement with this thing that is only painful and only like mouse theater calls. That engagement with that is like, it's like we think we need it and that it's important and and it's like, no, it's just hurting you, you know. So, so I invite you to begin to extinguish that habit, extinguish that training, extinguish that super tense fist in the core of your head that you're doing all the time. And it doesn't, again, don't fight it because that's just another super tense fist. It's like you just keep relaxing that thing. Because if you're not making it tight on purpose all the time, it will relax. It will relax. Because naturally it's open, naturally it's present, naturally it's wide awake. So it's not even that hard, it's just we have a long habit of not relaxing it. So you know if you've kept a muscle tense for a long time, sometimes it just wants to stay tense. And needs some very gentle, very kind, very compassionate, soothing kind of coaxing to open back up. And that might even at first be a little painful, right? Because it's not used to range of motion anymore. So you've got to be really gentle about it. If you try to jam it open, that just hurts. And again, just to be clear, there's nothing wrong with thinking that's a perfectly obvious thing, right? That we need to do that's very powerful, helpful, useful as a tool that we use, but not as something that we're stuck inside. Imagine, like your car is really useful to have, but imagine if you then thought, I am my car, and you just never get out. And you imagine that you're somehow skin welded to the seat and you just can't get out. Now it's a prison and just makes you, you just start to suffer. So this is an invitation to recognize that you're already free of that. You aren't stuck in it. Okay, so that's what I have to say about that. We have a microphone. Who's got it? Anybody? Do you want to do that, Faiza? Faiza will bring a microphone around. And raise your hand if you want to make use of the microphone. And you can ask questions or talk about your experience. Again, always remembering we just had a nice, quiet meditation. People are wide open, so be gentle and thoughtful, or shall we say, mindful in your speech. And say something.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is freshness of appearances a result of being not being distracted, the way you were talking about, and the intense presence?
That's part of it. You're not distracted, so you're kind of taking in more, but it's more that the thought of a thing is quite different than the thing. And for most people, most of the time, we're stuck in the thought of a thing. Even if we're present with it right now, if it's there in the room with us, still more of our experience is our idea about the thing. And, it's just a tag cloud of concepts about this thing. And that's really dead and dull and repetitive and uninteresting.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the actual embodied sensory experience of that thing is very alive and very vibrant and juicy and vivid.
Mm-hmm.
And so, in other words, it's the stuck in the thinking part that kind of like deadens our whole world.
And then how is it experienced? I think maybe one would be, the result of that would be having new insights because it's being seen as a fresh thing this time rather than that thing. The other is enjoyment because it's juicy, like you say. Is that how it's experienced?
Yeah, although the insights come, but again, a lot of times those aren't even like, it's not a train of thought or something. You just start having these kind of like ahas. But on top of that, just the plain enjoyment of experience, the enjoyment of other people, the enjoyment of animal beings, the enjoyment of our world goes way, 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 way up.
Mm-hmm. And then to maximize the freshness or the moments of freshness, is it like glimpses of freshness that, meaning the path to experiencing it more and more is in glimpses and like increasing the frequency of experiencing that by.
That's certainly a good way to do it, but another way is to spend time doing meditation like this. You do an hour of this, and then at least for a while afterwards, you're less in sort of the dead machinery of thought and more in presence. So by meditating, you get more and more acclimated, and yeah, doing the kind of glimpses is a good way in, although I will say that over time those glimpses get longer and longer. They start to, because that's what's really there, so to speak. The rest is just the veils, right, coming in between us and it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Very good. Other stuff, reports, things coming up, questions.
Hello. So, the last couple fits I've had in here, I've had a lot of gross dullness and sleepiness. And I know
Are you getting enough sleep?
Yeah, I'm getting 7.
Yeah. Okay.
I could get 8 maybe, but still it's a lot of dullness, and I know there's a bunch of body stuff you can do, and I was doing it doing tiny little wiggles that would kind of help take the 2 images of my eyes and zoom them back together, or there's a lot of little fiddles I can do that seem to really help, or set up straight. I know there's a lot of body stuff, but it feels like even with all those stuff, I just kind of get to being on the very edge of not being sleepy, but nothing cool ever really is gonna happen during that sit. It's like, you know what I mean? It's just kind of fighting for the whole time. So is there any other stuff, ways to focus or other kinds of techniques or energy stuff you could be doing that would be interesting?
It's simple. It's your mind that's dull. Especially that's why I asked if you got enough sleep. If you got enough sleep, your body is fresh and awake.
Yeah.
So your mind is dull. And as long as you're still engaging the mind, you're dull. But if you step outside of the mind will be a dull object, but you're in wide openness and wide awakeness. That's advanced. It's not easy to do, but it's simple to recognize, oh, it's my mind that's all dull. My awakeness is wide awake.
Okay.
It's always wide awake.
I've had the thing where the body goes to sleep and you're somehow still
wide awake.
So basically try and make that thing going on.
Yeah, but it's simple. Just recognize that the dullness is not who you are. It's just the mind is going into dullness. Okay, let it do that, and just watch it clearly.
Okay, thank you.
Just that. Easy. But given that you're doing all the other physical stuff, that's sort of the next. And you at least understood what I meant. So
yeah. I think so.
Yeah, good. Other stuff coming up? Again, it doesn't have to be a question if there's just something you want to share.
somewhat related, as I can watch my thoughts. I can set them aside and go into openness. I can feel, it almost feels like it's going on the other side, and I can feel the background noise of my mind going into dream space, starting to tell stories that are not thoughts, but feel like thoughts, but it's more on the dream side. It's not quite the sleep, the sleepiness, the dullness, but it seems related. It's like falling over on the other side of a headstand.
Sure. Are you wide awake?
Yes.
Then don't worry about it. One of the ways to check is if there's suddenly a sound like, do you go, ugh? If you do, then no, you're not wide awake. You were falling asleep. But if it's just like, and you're fine.
Yeah, it's just noting.
The mind just went into a dream.
It just goes into like a story coming out of noise. It's not a full thought.
It's hypnagogic, just stuff happening. But that's actually going on in your mind all the time. And when you're, if you're meditating outside the mind, you're wide awake, your mind will go into all that crazy stuff like that. And it doesn't matter. You're just as awake. So just let it do that. It's actually tremendously healing for your mind to do that. It's just being natural for once, instead of being some kind of machine. It just went into being natural. Just don't get caught up in any of that. Okay? Yeah, it's actually very healing. You'll notice it feels real good. Now, of course, it feels real good to fall asleep too, so this is a different kind of feeling good. It's that the mind is free. Okay? Great, thank you.
One more question about dullness. Sometimes it feels like the way in is less knowingness.
Into what?
Into openness.
Okay.
Not relaxing that
Sure.
grasping muscle.
Okay.
It's less knowingness and it's less engaged. So it's like if you look at a hammer on a table, you don't think I'm gonna pick that up. Or if you are like, instead of driving, you're a passenger and you see a road sign, you're not interpreting it, you're just kind of floating through it. It can feel dull. It can feel less engaged.
Yeah.
And less awake. But it's really calming.
It's really calming, but notice that that's still kind of an idea of the mind there. Right? That the mind is somehow dull. The awakeness is really awake. Are you seeing that hammer clearly? Are you seeing the roadside clearly? Or are you going into some kind of checked out dullness? Checked out dullness is a mind state. So you're still inside your thinking. Okay? Because when you're not inside your thinking, it won't be checked out and dull. It'll be fresh and clear. Okay? So that's a symptom.
I'll have to find another way in then because that will slow the thoughts.
Sure, so will going to sleep. That slows your thoughts right down, doesn't it? So you need a different way in.
Got it.
Okay? Yeah. Thank you, Faiza. Oh, I guess we have one last. This is the last one, and then we'll switch to Alana.
I guess just adding on to the conversation, I feel like when I can do long meditations in the morning.
Yep.
But this is like my first time trying meditations at night.
Yes.
Like I was like coming straight from work, so I think maybe in terms of like your mind being dull, I noticed that, and I'm trying to find routines that like help me come here and make me feel like I can fully be present. Like I tried to take a nap, but I still feel like I was going back and forth between like being present and like kind of like between dreaming a little bit. But it's after the meditation, I feel like throughout the meditation I would make myself feel guilty for not being present. For
That
not
really
being
helps.
present.
That's important. I forgot to mention that technique.
But I noticed that like after like right now I feel really good and I feel really present.
Yeah.
So it really helped when you said like, your mind is being free, and like my mind does feel free right now. Um,